thought that certain parts of me wouldn't be accepted. So I hid them. And the further away I moved from my true self, I know it sounds cheesy, but, the further away you move from, who you're meant to be, that's why the depression, the anxiety, your body's always trying to tell you something.
Hey, I'm Ronja Sakata, founder of the Joy Academy and Queen of Joy. That's how my friends call me. It's so important to me that my life is full of joy and that I enjoy every moment, because I know how fast it could be over. We can do so many things to bring joy in our lives, to create joy, and that's what this podcast is all about. I talk with people and they tell me how they bring joy to their everyday life and how they create a life full of joy. So let's dive right in, and please tell me after the episode what your takeaway is from this talk. Welcome, Mary Claire Ashcroft, to the Let's Create Joy podcast. I'm so excited to have you as my guest. We know each other for about 7-8 years, around that. We met in the Get Rich Lucky Bitch Money Boot Camp of Denise Thomas. I'm such a huge fan still of Denise, and it's so good to know you from back then, and still we're friends. And now I start as always. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you create joy in your life? And what brings you joy? And we start from here.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. I'm really honoured that you've asked me to be here. So, yes, my name is Mary Claire. I call myself a professional rebel, mainly because I kind of do quite a few things, and it was the best way to sort of put that all together. But mainly I help people with the confidence and the courage to go after, grab life by the balls, basically, to live life unedited. I work with people with my camera. That's one of the tools that I do. I use even. Sorry, I've forgotten how to speak over the lockdowns. Yes, that's what I do. I take pictures of people. I help them see how amazing they are. I have this magic power where as soon as the self-doubt kicks in or the voice in their head, I can see their energy change, and I know exactly what to do to sort of bring them back into themselves. So that's my magic power. I create workshops that are full of joy and stupidity and creativity, but all with a very serious undertone. But I just choose not to do it in that way. I choose to help people look at their self-identity, who they think that they are, because to me, who you think you are is the thing that stops you from being happy. So I think a lot of people are living under false identity. So I just want to help people see who they really are, because I can see them, and I'm sure you can see them, and you're like, come on.
Play with me,
come on. Let's have some fun and embrace yourself, because if you're not doing that, you're living life for somebody else, and you don't want to get to the end of it going, oh, I just wasted that go.
That's really my motivation, but we don't know how long we're here, so we better enjoy our time here to the fullest.
Totally.
I know how it is to spend time with you. We had so much fun in Zurich and in London. It's so cool. And just being silly, not all the time. We can have deep and serious conversation, can't we?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think it's just important not to take things too seriously. I think it's easy to be misinterpreted when you're full of joy and full of happy, uplifting energy. I think some people can sort of mark you off as being a bit too lighthearted and not serious. But I think it's people like us who are able to sort of embrace that lightness. We've also seen that incredible darkness, and we just choose not to live there, basically. It's not always easy, but we choose that, no, this is my experience, I'm going to do this way.
We choose the rainbow and the unicorn way.
Yeah.
I see so many props behind you, I see a unicorn, I see googly eyes.
Yeah.
So cool. And what brings you joy? I mean, everybody can feel right away. And if you watch the video, you better should. You can see how beaming and shining you are. But what brings you joy? Like really like this and this, like a list of your favorite things.
Me joy. I love people. I love my boyfriend just compared me to like a little excited and hot water particle in a kettle, you know, like when it starts getting hot, and when I spend time with other people, they start vibrating the same too, and we just feed off each other.
That's a cool picture.
Yeah,
and you have a very cool boyfriend. I know him, so I can see where that is coming from.
Yeah, I can't remember the scientific name for it. I was like, wow, there's an actual name for it. So yes, being with other people. I really love being cheeky and mischievous. You know, we were talking about googly eyes before you started recording. I absolutely love googly eyes. It's something that just makes me feel so naughty, sticking them on things that I shouldn't do. And I think that you know, the naughtiest thing, I stuck them on an atom bomb in a museum.
But I'm sure it looked good, like the nose is like stripy.
And the little eyes. What else have I? Yeah, being naughty, playing. I think a lot of grown-ups just forget to you know, connect to their joy and their playfulness and their creativity. So dancing, getting the paint out, getting the glitter out, face painting, wearing crazy outfits, taking, you know, fun photo shoots, listening to your favorite music. And you know, the photographs I sent you earlier were just me putting my favorite tunes on. They were all selfies. My professional photo shoot was just a pure joy-filled afternoon. So yeah, people, cheekiness, naughtiness, play. That's what brings me happiness.
And all the things you said you can have in so many different situations. It's not like only then it's possible. Like you can be cheeky wherever you go, in an airplane, on an airport, in a museum, wherever you go. That's so cool. If something brings you just joy in a certain setting, it's just limited. You know, some things bring me joy from the seasons, like the crunchy sound when I walk on snow, but that's only possible in winter. So I love how you're bringing joy. Things are independent on circumstances.
Yeah. But I think it's important for everything, you know, it's, you know, it's not about the how, you know, how you do it. It's just having themes to your joy. So I'm the same with the crunchy leaves in autumn. That's great, as long as the dog's not been there before. And you get a surprise.
But if you stand in like this smooth poopy pile of poop, it doesn't matter, right? It's like, oh, okay, I have to get rid of that now.
You just do a funny walk on the grass for a bit.
Yes.
But yeah, you know, even you said on a plane, I once wore a false mustache all the way from Israel back to Manchester. And I managed to get away with it. Even the air hostess said to me in the morning, she got on the plane, and she's like, "Oh, good morning, sir."
With earrings and everything on. It's just
like, just dressed as a girl, but with a false mustache. We got through airport security. They looked at me very strange and got lots of questions, but nobody said at any time to take the mustache off.
Yeah, why should they? That would be like, that's not their business, right?
So yes, you can create joy and silliness, and I love that sort of reaction that, you know, you come from walking out about on the street and you smile at someone, or you just have those little non-committal moments with strangers that, you know, you don't have to be their best friend, but you can talk to them in the supermarket or in a queue for the bank, and you just lift up their energy. And I just think that is such a beautiful interaction. You know, you don't have to become their best friend, you don't have to add them on Facebook, but you can just have these little interactions. And that's actually one thing I'm finding quite difficult at the moment with the wearing masks, because a lot of people aren't making even eye contact at the moment. So it's quite obvious that I'm smiling when I have a mask underneath, you know, because my eyes but yeah, you know, that is one thing that, people are not making as much eye contact, and for some reason the masks are making people not want to talk to each other. So I'm making extra special sort of effort to have those interactions with people, to remind them that, just because, life is unusual at the moment, still have those nuggets of joy to interact and have a different perspective. I think that's another thing that brings me joy is sort of choosing to have the sunnier perspective. And it's not about rolling poops in glitter. Everyone has their poop and we can't ignore it because you're always going to smell it. But it's just choosing. It never goes away. Like, for example, a friend of mine on Facebook, her cooker broke. And she was very much, oh, my cooker's broke. Oh, stuff always happens to me. And I just said, hey, at least you get takeaway tonight. Just always choosing to, it's annoying. Cooker breaks. It happens. Appliances break. It's annoying. It's expensive. But hey, you get takeaway.
It's really having just only the feeling that I can choose. This is so empowering and just good to know. And it changes everything. And sometimes it's more difficult than other times.
Oh, definitely. A lot of people don't. They think I'm almost lying when I tell them my background is in low self-esteem and depression, because my youth, I suffered with terrible low self-esteem. I got bullied. I had a painful childhood, and I wore it with like what I call the sad sack now. It's like a sack that you wear. It's invisible and it just weighs you down. Your energy is so heavy. You can't get up in the morning. Everything is such an effort. Even choosing to see the sunnier side of things is really difficult. And when I've sort of developed a process in the work that I do with people called Sad Sack to Superhero. And it's about realizing that you can take this horrible, heavy, smelly sack off, and that you have that choice, and that it's that sort of thing that is your imposter syndrome. It's that thing that steals your, that true self that you are. Because I think a lot of the time, I don't know if you've experienced it yourself, even at your darkest moment, there's some part of you inside that says, this isn't me. This is not how it's supposed to be. And even though the other thing is so overpowering, and I'm getting goosebumps just
me too. All the time. I have goosebumps all the time.
And it stole such a part of my youth and my childhood. And just knowing that you actually have some control over that if you know how to do it. And I'm not saying I'm immune to it. I still have days where it sneaks up on me. And if I don't do my morning routines, if I don't do the things that, it's just as simple as brushing your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth every day, your teeth are going to fall out. And it's just like mental hygiene, because I've had such low self-esteem for most of my life. Like, I'm 40 now, and I think I didn't even realize that I had a choice up until about 30 to think any other way. And if I don't remind myself who I am every single day, then the other sort of the darkness can take over. And it's just about going, honoring that, but then going, no, I know at a deep down level that this isn't who I am. So it's not denying it, but it's choosing to not connect to something that isn't your true self, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think it's such a difference of acknowledging the dark sides and looking them into the eyes and say, I don't focus on you. Sorry, not sorry. It's just not your time. Instead of like pushing it down and saying, no, everything is okay,
Yeah.
I'm always fine.
I'm fine. I have a face of smile. I
have a smile, and it doesn't go away. And everybody can feel that I'm just smiling and I'm sad inside. That's really so important. And also feeling the feelings and then sorting them out after you really felt them.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends. Like I was bullied in primary school, and secondary school was horrible. And it was really interesting because for me, it really turned when I entered university the first time, like 300 people in a big auditorium. And I didn't have to make friends with anybody. I was free to choose. Again, I like choosing, but being trapped in a classroom, that was kind of my nightmare. But even though in high school, I met my most dear friends who are still my best friends, or my super, super best friend. I met her in high school, so it was worth it. And then when you see, you look back, you can say like, wow, and I have so much empathy for people who are bullied, and everything you learned made you the person you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I wish it would have been different. It's but it's over now. And if you work on yourself, as you said, with the hygiene, I love that. It's like daily work. When people tell me like, you're annoyingly happy all the time, I say, wow, I do stuff for that every single day.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's not
like going
free.
To the gym.
It's free, but it's not free like time-wise. It's like maintenance and the choice.
It's a lot of commitment, and we, like you said, with the bullying, I've had that experience. I've had depression for a long time. I had, childhood stuff as well. And it's so easy to sort of let that identity sort of put a different lens on your whole experience of life. And so, these things that can happen to you for a relatively short amount of time, when you're in school, it feels like forever, it's like 4 or 5 years, but it feels, it's exacerbated by hormones and things growing out of you that never did before. And it feels so intense, but it's so easy to let these experiences of bullying or abuse or not fitting in like really cloud your experience, and suddenly it's like a horse. It puts the blinkers on you and you don't see any other alternative to the reality that you've sort of created for yourself just based on one experience. And it's so easy to sort of forget that you have a much bigger life, and these small nuggets of experiences don't have to cloud your enjoyment for the rest of your life. But for some reason, a lot of people let that, and me too, for a long time. And
what was your moment at 30 where you had like this is enough now? What was there a breakdown moment or a turning point you remember really clearly, or was it like a gentle like turnaround, like nope, now this direction please?
I think it was, I'd like to say it was one, dark night of the soul, and then it was all clear again. But I think I had dark nights of the soul, like steps, like this is bad. Oh, I'll go down a bit. Oh, I'm okay. No, I'll go down a bit more. I'll go down a bit more. So some of my experiences were, when I realized. So I took the plunge to become a photographer in my late 20s. And what had happened is I had kept making choices for everybody else my whole life. I was afraid to look at what I wanted. I didn't even know who I was. So I was very much a people pleaser. So I chose to go to university and study languages because that's what some family members did. I chose to get a job in export, and I was shipping chemicals all around the world. I've studied the languages, I might as well use them. But there was a part of me that always really wanted to self-express and be an artist or a creative, and I wanted to hang out with the people in the bands and travel about being a nomad, but I didn't let myself, and I didn't see myself as that. So I thought, well, I best just do as I should. And the further I went away from who I truly was, the more depressed I became. And so I happened to pick up a camera one day, and I got a bonus at this job that I hated, but I was very good at. And instead of going to the pub or buying shoes or, buying lots of, things for party or whatever, I thought I'm going to buy a camera because I've got such a bad memory. Like my childhood experiences like wiped my memories completely, and I was sick of not remembering anything in my life. So I bought myself a camera. I went to Canada to visit some friends and family, and I happened to be very good at it. So I called my first business Fluke Photography because, well, I didn't think, I never planned to become a photographer, and I didn't actually believe I was any good at it. It was all just a fluke, someone's going to catch me out sort of thing. And I left my day job and became a photographer. I had a business and I was able to travel. I was in New York. I went, I had a trip booked in Thailand. I'd shot a wedding in Paris. I'd shot a wedding in Greece. I had the outside success. But I was coming back from New York, and I was with Matt, my partner who you've met. And I was waiting for the flight home, had a good old British cup of tea, and I just burst out crying. And I had like a mental breakdown in the airport. And I realized that I'd created something that I thought I wanted, but I was still not very happy. I'd lost my grandma 2 weeks before. My granddad I lost a few months after that. So it was having loss in the family and realizing that I kept choosing outside of myself than rather from the inside. So I thought I'd made all these decisions, but they were the outside decisions, and I hadn't done the inner work. So it didn't matter how much I thought I was successful. I didn't feel like I was that person, and I didn't feel like I deserved it. So that's when I started looking into happiness work. I thought, hang on, what is going on with me? I understand why I was unhappy before, but I've made all of these decisions. What is wrong with me? Or why? I knew that I wasn't destined to sort of live on tablet. I've got no judgment about people who take medication for their depression. And for me, it was a great crutch, to walk around, have that support whilst I sorted everything else out. But I knew deep within about everything else, that wasn't going to be my story, and that it was up to me to fix my depression and heal it. So I started studying happiness, and I started looking at things like meditation, and I looked at spirituality, and I looked at sport, and I looked at psychology. Honestly, I feel like I've got an unofficial PhD, the amount of books I've read and studied. I started looking at what was not working for me, and then suddenly I started seeing it in my photo shoots and my interactions. The masks people wear, the should, the believing we have to follow a certain path in society. Otherwise, if we haven't done this by this time, we're wrong, and people making decisions always based on what they think they should do, and that making them unhappy, and just the bad habits of thoughts. And so suddenly I started seeing myself in lots of other people. And I thought, well, hang on, if I'm making myself happier, why don't I share this? Because I did not, the first business that I did was wanting to do something I was good at and feeling like I had a purpose rather than just a job. But then, as my business evolved and I started the second business as Professional Rebel, I realized that my purpose then was helping people so they didn't feel like they were going through this on their own. I knew that I could get past it myself and find a way out of this. So, it seemed very selfish to not share that with other people. So that's kind of how I got there today. And, I've had lots of little experiences from the cup of tea experience in New York when I had a breakdown. I've had lots and lots of moments like that always feel like the worst thing at the time. But then, once you pick up the pieces that have fallen all over the floor, and you choose which ones you want to pick up and carry on with. And I think that's just a part of life. And I think that, not welcoming things like that, but being okay when they happen, I'll be okay after all of this. Just got to ride that wave of whatever's going on right now.
Yeah, and I feel like when you get used to work through things instead of just closing your eyes and push them away, it's it's getting easier, or you're more experienced in handling like breakdowns or super sadness or like or panic attacks or whatever, like oh okay, interesting. And then it's just for, I don't know, 3 hours or half a day, another week or 2 weeks where you're like, oh, life sucks. It gets shorter, maybe more intense, but it's okay because like I like that image, riding the wave, and then yeah, you can take the next one or just exit and have a nice plunge and in at the beach.
Yeah. Well, I have some, because I'm such a visual person, I have very visual interpretations of this thing. So for me, when we speak about stuffing your emotions down and putting the smile on your face, like for me, and I explain this to anyone that I work with, to me, it's like, when you have a beach ball and it's full of air and you sort of have a challenge in the swimming pool to how long can I push this down? And we're under the water for a bit. You're like, oh, yeah, I can do this and do this. And eventually your arms will get tired and you'll let go. And this beach ball will just smack you in the face because that you can't keep suppressing your, parts of yourself. And that's kind of what I did for a long time. I thought that certain parts of me wouldn't be accepted. So I hid them. And the further away I moved from my true self, I know it sounds cheesy, but the further away you move from who you're meant to be, that's why the depression, the anxiety, your body's always trying to tell you something. So like you said as well, you let this stuff come in. Like I now treat my depression like an unwanted family guest who turns up at your house for the weekend. So you can feel it come in. It's there, and you're not going to push it under like the beach ball. You're just going to say, all right, me and you can stay for the weekend. I'm not going to lose myself in you for weeks on end if I don't have to. But you get to stay for the weekend. We get the blanket, we get snacks, we get pajamas, tissues, whatever you need, the journal, whatever to help, whatever's coming out of you. Just let it work its way out, and then it's not there anymore. And it's like you said, it's unpleasant while it's happening. But I've got to the point in my life now where this sometimes surprises people, but I welcome a panic attack. I remember in my spare time I do pole dancing, and I remember going to my class, and there was a couple of girls in there already, the instructor and another girl, and they instantly said, are you okay? And I was like, no, I've got something. I need to get it out of my body. And my pole dancing teacher, she's very spiritual. She does Reiki. So she understood this completely. She was like, okay, what do you need to do? And I was like, it's in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I just need to work out a way to move. So literally, I put my arm on the pole and like stretched, like literally almost opened out my chest. Just had the snottiest, most ugly cry in front of this other girl, and she was maybe a bit aback by it. But after that, it was just like, oh, the relief of not having to carry that, because I think that's what anxiety is for people. It's that sort of like trembling. I call it like a leaf, or just a quivering, or just this fizzy energy, and it just wants to come out. And sometimes it is a big snotty ugly cry, sometimes it's a tantrum, sometimes but yeah, you feel so much better once you're on the other side of it. And you just have to be okay with welcoming that in and almost letting it peak for a bit. Sometimes the state you're at when it's there, you have to go, okay, I'll surrender a bit more into it, so it gets worse, and then immediately after it's just like, I needed that to come out.
Yeah, it's like it's honoring this feeling instead of no, you can't go away. It will come back the next moment. I love your relative analogy, because it's like you're not allowed to move in. You are like, I will it's okay for the weekend, but afterwards I kick you out again. And I don't kick you out. That's just like, I'm so clear that you have to be gone Sunday evening, so that you go without me pushing you away. It's different, you know. It's like working in education. You can teach with just the presence or with 1,000 rules, and it's just exhausting to check on all the rules, or you just be present. And it's kind of the magic of your own boundaries. If you set them, then you don't have to push people or feelings away. It's just like, okay, but not for long. And I take care of you. I let you go through my body, and then you're gone again.
Because a lot of the time it's not even related to now, you know. It's stuff you've packed away like 15-20 years ago, you know, those tears you stifled down because you didn't want to show someone you were upset, or that anger you didn't express because you didn't feel confident enough to express it, or you feel like you would get rejected if you said how you feel. It's years and years of these small things, but over the time, you know, that anxiety in your body is the pan being too full, and you've just got to take the lid off. And like with the depression, you know, I'll say you've got 48 hours or something, but I'll still, you know, I'll make it a sandwich and a packed lunch, you know, to take away with. But then I also know that, you know, if it's still not easing by 48 hours, then it's something I need to look at. You know, maybe I do need to see the doctor. What do I need to talk about with Matt? Or, you know, where am I not honoring myself? Because I noticed every time this sort of sinks in is when I've lost my way. And it's, you know, like, you have joy as your compass. That's exactly what it is. Anytime you're off the beaten track in the wrong way for you, that's when how you don't want to feel sort of comes in. So, you know, it's your own inner GPS.
Yes. And I love to, for example, do the future me meditation to just meet my best future self. Like, she's so relaxed and even wiser, and you know, and then I can have a chat like, what should I do now? And she's like soothing me and telling me I'm the best. And it's just, I have other meditations also in the Joy Academy, but I love the future self because it's from me. It's not from the outside. It's like, I'm quite stubborn when people tell me how to do things. I'm like, nope, I don't do it that way. But my future self is me, so it's easier to listen and then to relax.
Yeah, I have a very similar one. It's about finding your inner superhero. So exactly the same. It's your future strong, super empowered, badass self who always knows the right thing to do.
And how do you think, like, our society, and I think we can generalize worldwide, maybe not really worldwide, but in the Western society, come on, why did we come so far away from what we really want and do things all the time we think we should, and it's not okay to do this and that? Do you have some kind of explanation or a picture, or how do you like invite your clients to think about society, to break free from all these, like, it's right, like handcuffs?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. I've actually got a book about it. It's called What the Fuck Am I Doing with My Life? And it's about waking up in that sort of position of, hang on, what am I doing here in this job, in this relationship, in, you know, even in this house? You know, how did I get here? I didn't choose any of this. And I think a lot of it comes from, you know, it starts in childhood, because everyone, you know, a child doesn't know it needs to eat, and a child doesn't know it needs to do anything really. So in order to get love and approval, you do what your parents tell you, and then you go to school and you get your gold stars from teachers. So you're always looking outside of yourself for, you know, you're on the right track, good job, you know, well done, here's what you do next, here's what you do next. And it's just this path of, oh, I'll go this way because that's what I'm supposed to do. And then yeah, but then you get to around your teenage years, and then at the same time, you really don't want to be the odd one out. You want to be accepted. The acceptance from your parents at that time is not, paramount for you at the time, but you want that acceptance from your peer group, and even from the bullies. You want to, you don't want to be bullied by them. You want them to like you. So then you start hiding parts of yourself because, what if the band you like aren't cool, and you get rejected for it, or the boy or the girl you like, you sort of suddenly start putting up all these walls and packing down little parts of yourself because you're scared to be the odd one out then. And then you leave school, and most people are like, oh, well, you're meant to go to university. And then once you've gone to university, you get your job. And sometime during that, you're meant to have, meet your partner and be married and have a child and all of this by tick, tick, tick certain points. And at no point does anyone say, it's okay, those parts you sort of stuffed away, like at the age of 14, they're actually they're your interests, your passions, your values. But we sort of stuff those away and keep being told what to do. And sometimes it's because maybe out of laziness, we don't want to take that risk of choosing something off the beaten path. We know that this works, but it doesn't work anymore. Maybe it did, like after the wartime, when everyone was trying to build up, and maybe that's when it was good to sort of have a job and have a house and stuff like that. It was that point of having this success, and it meant that you were working towards a greater good of rebuilding the world. But the world's changed from that. But I think school sort of knocks out anything from you, and this willingness to keep having to next step, it's just like there's a carrot on the string all the time, and you're following it because the happiness is just where the carrot is, but you never actually bite the carrot.
Maybe you don't like carrots.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Or broccoli. Or the chocolate bar, or the slice of cake, or a big sushi platter, whatever's on your fishing rod.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm such in a struggle with the school system, and I wanted to take Mika to another school, but then she doesn't want to because she wants to be in, our part of Zurich is like a little village, and the school is 3 minutes away. I mean, that's just luxurious that she can go and come home without any car ride. And and she wants to be with her friends, but the school system just sucks. Come on. And I try to tell her, and I think she gets it, because I wouldn't want to miss my university, time. I met the most amazing people. I had a shared apartment with a lot of boys. It was so cool. Then Ken came over to Zurich when I met him in Japan. I went to Japan 20 years ago. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Wow. And he was living with me in my room and had all the fun with the boys too, and get to know, Switzerland, easy life, student life, easy going, and not some kind of boring couple life in a little apartment outside of the city. And I wouldn't want to miss that. But now I really, really, really do what I want all the time. And it's so cool Mika is on camera. She's just brilliant, just talking to the camera. And I don't know if she wants to do something like that, but she can. And there are so many possibilities. And she's really not good in math, or she tells herself. Mm-hmm. And I said, nobody will care, And the what is the piece of paper with the mark, with the
grades?
With the grades. I said, do you know what I care about this piece of paper? I don't give a shit about it. I really swear. And she was like, okay. Because these fucking primary teachers from first to third grade, they threatened these little child with this piece of paper. Like, it will be written. Like, come on. If you can't teach without that, you're just not in the right job. Just quit your job. Yeah. So I really hope I can steer the ship, even though she wants to go to this school, the normal school, which is, of course, a blessing for many children. And it would have been hard to pay for private school for us. Like it wouldn't have been easy, but yeah, I would love to have like a free school. You can do the whole day whatever you want. How cool is that? And I really think that would be the cure to so many problems.
No, I totally, and that's the thing that annoys me about the school system. And I think that's why most people focus on their flaws. So say, for example, you're in school and you're rubbish at maths, or it's not your strongest point, but you're an amazing artist. What do they make you do at school? Oh, well, you best take an extra class in maths because you're not good at that. You best focus on all the things that you're lacking behind on. Oh, but don't worry about art, or don't worry about history, or, whatever your passion is in. You're told to concentrate on being better at the thing you're not naturally good at. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't ever take a challenge. It's important to grow yourself and be the best that you can in the things that interest you. But the constant focus on the thing that you are terrible at all the time, and just ignore the thing that you are absolutely lit up and incredible at. That's the problem I have with school. I didn't know
and then it can be really turned around. I was so bad in languages. I mean, English was okay because I was a certain time of my life in kindergarten in America, it was kind of natural. But in French, I could create a sentence, or my what's it when you write a story, you have to write a piece of an essay. It was just red. If you held it from far away, it was just red. And like really, grammar, the baddest in Switzerland, it's 1 to 6, 1 the baddest. It was grammar 1, like content 5, style 5.5. So I had kind of a nice mark because she was because she was so nice. But when I learned Japanese, it was my own motivation, and I learned over the year and just listening and just trying and trial and error. And I mean, I learned Japanese in a half a year, and now I'm fluent. So yeah, fuck French, like, and the school with how do you say the text, and then there is a gap and you have to fill the gaps, like the endings and
like in grammar.
In grammar, yeah, like boring text with gaps, and then you have to fill the gaps. Like, oh, I hated it so much.
Yeah.
And my Japanese teacher was totally different, and it was like, whoa, I'm good in languages. I would have never found out if I wouldn't have had this wish to go to Japan. So
yeah, it's
you never know.
It's about learning style. I was in top set at maths, the top class. And then about a year into the class, they said, actually, you can do it, but you're really slow. So we're going to move you down to the next class, the second class. And for years, I told myself a story that I was rubbish at maths because I got moved down. And all it was is that I've got a different learning style, not neurodiverse. I don't mark well in the standard IQ tests, but if you do it in a certain way, really, really clever. So I told myself I was rubbish at maths.
Really clever.
Yeah. And the same with languages. I'm studying German and French at school, at high school, at A level. And I really got on with my German teacher. And I got a really good grade. She was more like a crazy auntie rather than a teacher. So, absolutely loved German. But my French teacher, I remember her saying to me, she's like, you shouldn't bother learning languages. You're never going to get very far with it. So obviously I got a terrible mark from her and overall in all my exams because she just told me I was bad. But I wish I could see her now and go, 7 languages. Bad at languages.
Eat that. My father always told me, like, it would be so helpful for you and your soul that you could separate the subject and the teacher. But I couldn't. Like,
No.
well, I could. In biology, I could. I hated him really, but I was so good. And I still love biology. No, that's the only subject I think I could do this separation. And I explained everything to the whole class. So by explaining it, I learned it even better. So that was really helpful. But yeah, it's so interesting. And that's what I loved about being a teacher for food technologists, like being this person, just a person, because you don't remember anything about the lessons. You remember people, the teacher you loved, and the fun around the lesson, like before and after or during. Yeah, that's what I celebrated for 12 years. That's why I was a teacher for 12 years, because I really had a blast with these girls and gals. It was just so cool. But it's all about the presence. And yeah, you have to teach and do the tests and so on, but it's the personal stuff that stays, and you can have an influence on these people. And
Totally.
once I had a guy, and he has a super successful gym now, like the cool gym, with the ropes and the booty challenge and so on, not like the regular gym. And he had to write a test, and he was just swearing, and the time was up. I couldn't write down anything, and stupid test. And then I know everything now. And I said, okay, nobody comes in. Everybody left when they finished the test, and just sat down. And now you tell me. And then he told the answer and said, well, write it down. He was like, I'm allowed to write it down now? I said, yeah. And then we went through the whole test, and he had a really good grade. And from that moment, like, it was like a different person. It's so cool. But that was like a kind of not so normal move, I had to not push against the others, but like explain that was my choice. I didn't help him a bit. To
yeah, it's just allowing a different way for it to come out, because not everyone is the pen and paper, or some people are pictures. I'm very visual. Yeah, everyone learns differently, and I think that's the thing that they struggle with at school as well, is that you've got to do it this one way, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
they're better at it these days, but when I were a little girl.
Yeah, but it's really a far way. I think school is like still hanging around 150 years ago. A little better maybe, but most of the teachers expect the students to be quiet and nice and learn what.
Yeah, do as you're told.
Yes, do what you.
Don't be an individual.
Yes, please don't be an individual.
No, I had a great experience. I mean, I've done a little bit of teaching, not the same amount as you, but in 2019 I was asked to teach photography at
I remember.
Yeah, the language school. I was asking you for some tips. And so it was international teenagers, from all over Europe and a few from the rest of the world. And it was just trying to make it interesting for them. So I tied it in. I just decided to, as well as just teaching them the technical stuff, let's make it to real life experiences. And I shared how it's good to sort of use photography as a tool to sort of express yourself and make sense of yourself. So I told the story, to a group of kids, and said, I used photography to help me with, understand who I am and help me with my mental illness. And it helped me become more confident. And I taught them how to teach, tell stories, because sometimes you can't put things into words, but you can use pictures. Picture speaks 1,000 words, that phrase. So I taught them, to express themselves using the camera or the phone, and the sort of things that I did to build my confidence using the camera. And I thought, this is either going to be, something that I'm not interested in, or, they'll just, want to get back to being on their phones and not being in the classroom. But one of the girls actually came up to me during our walk, because we'd go out and take on a walk after the physical classroom bit. we went for a walk to take the pictures and do the sort of activities that I'd set for them. And one girl came up to me and said, thank you, I've struggled with my low self-esteem and my confidence my whole life, but I could actually see myself doing this to help. And it, as you shared, it sort of really inspired me. And I was just like, oh, I got goosebumps, I was like, oh my God, just 6 weeks or 8 weeks of doing, photography classes, just to be able to maybe just help one person not feel bad about themselves. And
that's one person telling you, but loads of them won't tell you, but they have similar feelings or similar breakthroughs without telling anybody. But yeah, you never know. That's the same in our online work. You never know who you will touch and change, but you don't have to. You just put out your authentic work and magic will happen. That's so beautiful.
Most important thing, sometimes you make it about yourself. You're scared to post something on the internet, you're scared to tell your story, you're scared to teach your technique in your own certain way. And I've got a newsletter now that people reply to and say, thank you, I needed to hear that today. I don't know about you, but most newsletters, if I open them, usually they go straight into the bin. If I open them, I read and, delete or file or whatever. I very rarely feel the need to sort of reply to somebody, but I get replies. I get people on Facebook or social media, some who I don't even realize are, they're not the sort of people to like things or comment, but every now and then they'll send you a message going, thank you, I needed to hear that, or because of you, I've started running, or because of you, I've set up a business or left a job, and so you just don't know where anything can end up or what impact you'll have on someone. And I think that's the important thing when you're doing this line of work, to really get over that, what will people think, or whatever else goes, the sad sack talk that goes on in your brain, because you just don't know the effect you're going to have on someone, and you don't know whether, it's like a ripple. It's throwing a pebble in the water, and you just don't know how big the ripple's going to get. And it's just, that's what I love about doing this work. Even when I doubt myself, or I have a bad day, or I stop believing in myself, something will always happen to go, nope.
And the ripple can go really over the ocean, That's what I like about physics. Like the wave of the butterfly can it's just, we are so much more connected than we think.
A wave can become a tsunami.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a total online person because I love to be inspired by so many. I love the feeling of connection around the globe, here my globe. It's like I have the interview with you, and I talked to my Australian money mindset buddy this morning, and my next podcast guest in Swiss German lives in Amsterdam, and it's like, it's so cool that this is possible. It amazes me every single time. I think I annoy people by my gratefulness of the internet. Ooh, this is bad, and everybody is controlling you, and I say, well, I just rather use it for what I love to do. And I mean, hanging out with people like you for an hour, that's just the best thing you can do. And now people can listen to this conversation, hopefully are inspired too. Yeah. So when I'm like attracted to you as a coach, and then I tell you my problem, what is, do you have a process you guide everybody through, or do you have, like, it's so individual, you could choose pick an example now to tell, like, how can people work with you and experience your magic?
Well, I'm very intuitive, so if I work with somebody on a one-to-one basis, there's absolutely no prescription at all. But I'm just in the process of sort of setting up a membership community, you know, for creatives and business owners who need that courage and they need that confidence, you know, to do the stuff that we've just been talking about. And it always starts off with, you know, what we've spoken about. It's about knowing yourself and realizing which parts are just clouded by terrible lens. It's about clearing that lens and seeing yourself clearly. So I believe that you cannot move on to the next step of any work until you actually got a good foundation of who you are and how you see yourself. Because if you do something really great, but your self-identity doesn't see yourself as that, you will sabotage it. You know, it's like building a house on wonky foundations. You can only build it so high before it crumbles. So we start with the foundational work of looking at who you are and what makes you special, and looking at the stories you told yourself and actually proving them wrong. You know, we do it with a sense of playfulness of, you know, is that actually true? You know, is that rubbish? If it's rubbish, stick it in the fuck it bucket.
I love your fuck it bucket lives. I have to fuck it fire in the Joy Academy. We burn things regularly. It's so good.
Out of the way. But yeah, it's only then that you can, you know, once you build that foundation, you've then got more confidence, and you get the confidence by doing as well. And then it's about having that sort of that support of, okay, well, what if I dare you to do something? What if I just push you out your comfort zone just a little bit? And yes, so I work with people to help them develop that foundation, then feel brave enough to do it and actually own who they are. And then when finally they own who they are, I'll be like, let's take some pictures. Let's share you with the world.
So that's kind of the package, to have amazing, authentic, shiny pictures with you afterwards. That's genius. Wow.
Sometimes people would have a photo shoot with me and then they wouldn't put the photographs on the internet, or they would go into hiding a little bit. And at first I was like, oh no, they don't like the photograph. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I have a policy where, you know, if you're not happy with anything, there's a reshoot, you know, all the time, you know, because I want people to be happy. So I would message a few people and say, oh, you know, were you not happy with those photographs? I thought we had a great time. You really shone. And they just realized that they just needed that sort of permission to show up as themselves. So I find that sometimes you need to do that foundational work with people. In this work that we're doing, you know, that you're doing with your joy work, that I'm doing the confidence work, and everyone that you speak to, if you're telling yourself these old stories, or if you're telling yourself just that you're not good enough, it's going to be like a dance. It's like a cha-cha. Sometimes you take 2 steps forward and then your mental block will get in the way and it'll throw you back, and sometimes you'll crash. And it's just about building that foundation to sort of stop that from happening so often. Or, you know, you can't stop it completely. You know, I still have self-doubt. I still wonder what I'm doing some days, but it's the frequency of it is less, and it doesn't cripple me. It doesn't stop me from moving. It might mean I take a little detour or I have a little break, but then you realize that there's something in you bigger than the small chatter in your head. And so it's just helping people get over that, really.
That's the coolest combination. And then you actually have even better photos after the foundational work, because you got rid of some like sad sacks, invisible sad sacks.
So go full superhero.
Yes. And I love your photo shoots. They're bright and colorful. I had the honor to have you taking some pictures of me. I love them. We had so much fun. Yeah, and it's really, I love photography so much, and the magic between the person taking the picture, and it's just, it's something so special.
Really.
You know, the Native Americans, I don't know, I think it's true, but in the stories I read, like, they don't like to take that the picture taken will take a piece of your soul away. And I totally get what they mean, because you are on a piece of paper afterwards. But for me, it's like adding.
It's about sharing your soul.
Yes.
Yeah, so as long as you're in that good place and you've got that good energy and you've got that groundedness of feeling secure and pushing the energy outwards, then wherever you leave that energy, people say to me, it's like you photograph the whole person. Like, people can feel the personality coming through, all part of the story. And it's so much better than I'll just pose against the wall and look.
Yeah, and it's like the internet. You can do bad things with the internet, or cool things, and pictures like paparazzi pictures, and just like the annoying, also threatening part of having your picture taken when you just don't want to, and it's you didn't give the allowance. It's like the same thing. You can use it
that's stealing
that way. Yeah, it's like it's like taking a part of your soul away and putting it somewhere you didn't choose to be. And your work is like the on the sunny side of the moon, where the magic is happening. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I love it. It's the best way to sort of just be able to show that person there, how they are, not through the filter of their own sort of self that sometimes is blind to that. And it's just such a joy to sort of let people embody that and help them, stay in that vibe rather than shrink after they've done it as well. Because I'm sure you know it yourself, you've had a period of growth and suddenly you're like, oh, this is a bit shaky, I'm not ready for it.
Absolutely. And photo shootings are always an up-leveling thing, like, oh, okay. And then the website looks different. My website will be, this week will be live with new pictures. I'm really looking forward to it.
I can't wait to see it.
When we are recording it. So what is your message to the world when you have the mic and everybody is listening? Tell us, please.
My message to the world. Stop letting the past experiences ruin your tomorrow and your today. You don't know how long you've got, and just fill every moment with joy and mischief. And if there's a sunnier option, choose it, because why would you choose the other one?
Thank you. And where can people find you, or what is the best way to connect with you?
Through my website, I suppose. It's www.professionalrebel.co.uk. You can sign up on my newsletter. Like I said, people write back on that, so must be some gold nuggets of joy in there. And I'm always on Facebook, sharing pictures of my dinner or mischief I get up to, so you can find me there. But I can send you all my links. You can.
Yes, we will put them into the show notes. Go to the blog for watching, or YouTube for watching the video.
Yeah, or just watch my chat show as well, because Bucket Friday, it'd be rude to forget that.
And that's on Facebook. Live. Yes.
Facebook Lives.
And you will get all the informations in the show notes on joyismycompass.com/blog. And then you will find Mary Claire. Thank you so much for your energy and your joy and your genius. It's just a pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes if you liked it. Also, make sure to join my free Joy group on Facebook to discuss this episode and other Joy topics, and you can find the link to it in my show notes on joyismycompass.com/blog. If you are looking for ways to incorporate more joy into your daily life, I've got the most awesome tool for you. Head over to joyismycompass.com/UA to hire your personal universal assistant. What is that? You'll find out. Just click on the link joyismycompass.com/UA. See you in the next episode.